How's it going, folks? And you're very welcome along to the Motorcycle Hour podcast, where we talk all things motorcycling. A quick shout out to our sponsors, Terence Healy Motorcycles Tullamore, your main Honda dealer for the Midlands. City Spares Motorcycling, Cherry Orchard Industrial Estate Dublin, your Honda and Suzuki agent. And motorcyclingtraining.ie, your one-stop shop for all your motorcycle training needs. Before we kick it off, we do want to give a reminder that this podcast is intended for audience of 18 years and older. So just remember this when deciding where and when you listen. How's it going, folks? And you're very welcome back to the Motorcycle Hour podcast. We are on to episode 59, and we're going to bring a man that needs no introduction onto the podcast shortly. Our very own Rhys Irwin, the British Super Sport champion of 2025. So Rhys is going to be on now shortly and telling us how we went from, I suppose, a bit of motocross to being a British Super Sport champion. So we're looking forward to having Rhys on. I am joined in studio by the two Moors. How he's getting on, lads?
Nice, well. We won't complain, but it is what it is, dude.
That did not sound very...
Just say you're doing fine.
Yeah.
That did not sound very convincing at all. We've got the other man here with his little blood pressure monitor on him, Charlie Riley. How are you getting on, bud?
All right, bud. Yeah, no about it. Yeah.
I didn't hear that joke explode. Right?
No, because I'm keeping calm. I'm keeping calm.
That's
blood
it.
pressure.
What was this they used to say? You have to rub your ears and say, ooh, sa, or something along the lines of that, wasn't it?
No. Boosa. Boosa. Boosa.
Yeah, the Boosa might be the goal.
Boosa.
The Boosa might be the goal for it.
Yeah.
Come here, before we kick it off, before we bring you over to Rhys, just a bit of a recap, I suppose. On our last episode, we had, of course, Dave on from the Motorcycle Ireland. He is the current president, soon to be changed, obviously, because there's election Saturday night. We were inundated. We got some great responses from the podcast we did with David. I think probably a lot of people, including ourselves, if it's fair to say, weren't fully up to speed on exactly what MCI's role was, and in particular what the president's role was. And it's not ideal, I suppose. Would it be fair to say that? Like, it seems that he need to be in a position to make, a decision.
I think first of all, I would say like he acquitted himself very well on the podcast.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think a really nice guy. Laid out his stall very well, and I kind of said it on the podcast as well. I think. Looking at it, maybe it just seems to be too many chiefs.
Yeah.
Not enough Indians.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, as we're discussing after the last podcast, like someone has to make a decision, and it became apparent to me that the president can't do that. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think, people need to
pull together.
But I understand people, it's their passion. It's, they're very passionate about what they're doing, and they're trying to protect their little patch, and, it's our club, and, but you can't, you have to
see the bigger picture.
And it's not just about your club. Do you know what I mean? It's all encompassing. Do you know what I mean? So that's one thing. Again, thinking about what David was saying, like, I know we want to just keep it like, it's not a business. And again, business isn't the right word.
No.
But
when people think of business, they think of profit. No, it's more a business strategy.
Yes.
To run it in that
but
respect.
whatever you want to call it. But yeah, absolutely, as I would have said before, the volunteer has their place, because you can't run it without volunteers, right? Mm-hmm. But people need to realise now, again, when the ugly thing rears its head, which of money, but the strategy isn't working, right? We're at an impasse now, and something has to change. Like, Constitution is there to be changed.
Yeah.
An amendment to the Constitution, right?
If that's what it's going to take.
Which allows someone there to be employed, because now, again, they're accountable, but again, that aspect of it is then the chasing the sponsors. Do you know what I mean? Dealing with insurance companies, all that type of stuff, and that can be that can be like a subsidiary of the main club. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
But the people have to understand that. Again, I heard what Dave was saying. Well, he's getting money and I'm not. That's a separate entity, or should be seen as a separate entity.
Absolutely,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But its sole function is to raise money to run the club. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, to get things over the line and
get things over the line.
Get racing back to where it was.
And yeah, that can take direction from what the members want as the way it works now. But it's that way for how many years now? It's just at an impasse. It's not working. You can't please all of the people all of the time, right? Somebody has to make a decision.
Yeah, for sure.
Be it right or wrong.
At some stage, you're going to be unpopular. Yeah, absolutely. But look at, let's say, the elections are coming up Saturday. We do genuinely wish the best to look to all participants in the upcoming election, and hopefully we'll hear word, say, Sunday morning on what way that went. And whoever it is, we'll make sure we'll get them on the podcast so they can chat about
what their vision is and what they, and as I said, we have no axe to grind either with anyone. Do you know what I mean? We're not coming down on one side or the other. Like I said, we're totally impartial.
Exactly.
We all want the same thing. We all want just motorcycling to continue in the country.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
whether it's grass track, motocross, road racing, short circuit racing, we go to them all, we support them all, we want to see them all back.
Absolutely.
Is that fair to say? Absolutely.
Yeah, and there's no point in going back without one.
Yeah. There has to be everything.
Everything
absolutely.
or nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Simple as.
I agree.
You know?
Talking about bikes and stuff, anybody out for any spins? I know you guys are flat out IBTing and pre-testing and all that sort of stuff. Did you get out?
Yeah. Like I said, I said before, I'm paid for my hobby. It was a nice day today. As I said, sun was shining, dry, blue skies, dry roads, so.
Yeah.
And I'm out on the road tomorrow now for second part of IBT, so we're out on the road then, so that's, we actually enjoy going out for the spin.
Yeah,
I keep saying to students, we'd stop for a break and a bit of a critique, and a bit of feedback for the students, and I'd say to the lads, I normally say, I don't know about you guys, but I'm enjoying the spin anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Look, that's what it's all about. Cha, you weren't Tullamore today, did you tip into Terence Healy's?
No.
We might get over there tomorrow.
I am. I'm going to get up in the morning now and tip her on. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. But Jez will tell you let me know when you're going. If I can at all, I might go along with you.
I'm going to go early, down back early. Yeah.
Okay. So, that'll be sound. That might work. I'm looking forward to going over because
Terence and them open at around, I think, 9ish. So the child's planning on being on the road because Grace, she's going to school. The minute she's out the door, the child's in the car, or if not, he's on the bike. Whichever. If it's dry. If it's dry.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is. And I'm going for a rip one way or the other.
Well, when you're over in Terence Healy's, you can check out this week's Bike of the Week is a 2020 Yamaha XSR 900. Available, check it out on thmotorcycles.ie. Obviously, you can check it out in person. Yeah. And there's a €250 Terence Healy motorcycle clothing and accessory voucher included with this week's Bike of the Week. And when you're over there, there's also a sale at the minute on clothing and accessories. Yeah, well, so you could buy yourself a nice little, leather jacket or something.
Yeah, but see, the beauty of Terence there as well. They're like coming up to Christmas and all. If anyone hadn't got their full money, put down a few pound and pay it off, and they'd have it for Christmas. And that's one thing. He's fair that way as well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And the missus is away, so there's no one here to be judging you. You could bring them all home and stick them in the closet there, and no one will say anything to you.
Absolutely. She'll know absolute nothing. When she comes back next week, she'll still know nothing.
Sounds like a plan, boys. Sounds like an absolute plan. Yeah. We're just going to, before we bring it over to Rhys, NEC Bike Show is coming up. We're going to head over to that. We need to book the tickets now this weekend as well. We're going to bring some of the camera equipment and stuff and do a couple of videos when we're over there. So keep an eye out on all our socials. We've some big plans for videos and stuff coming up now shortly. We're kind of just learning the ropes at the minute. So we will get there. So bear with us. But that's coming up the next couple of weeks. And as well as that, I keep forgetting to mention on Wednesday night, Gaelic Burger, Kildare Biker Spins and Meats, still going. They had a good crowd out there and last night.
Coffee in that for €2.
Yeah, you can't beat that. So look, there's still places to go. Just depends on the humour and the weather and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. But don't think you have to go on the bike. I mean, you still can drive over in the car with 3 or 4 lads in it there and get an out cup of coffee, talk a bit.
SH1T.
SH1T.
Yeah. And you know, and it's still keep going because, like, I mean, all joking aside, the winter's going to be long enough now, lads.
Long enough, yeah.
So if now, and we're guilty because the way we're
we're up to the rise with
podcasting that, like, and all. But we are going to try and make an effort now in the next week or two to be able to get over on the Wednesday night. As I say, they'll be in a car, whatever, doesn't matter. Once you turn up, have a bit of chinwag.
Bit of a chinwag, a bit of a crack, and have a look at a few bikes and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
I did mention as well, and I know this is not a complete and utter plug about Terence Healy's, but if anybody goes to Terence Healy and buys that 2019 Gixxer 1000, I ain't going to be fucking pissed. Hands off. We spoke about it. Did you seen it?
Yeah, I seen it.
Oh my God, man, it's absolutely gorgeous. Or if anybody wants to treat the Motorcycle Hour podcast to a nice Gixxer there, feel free. But definitely, if you're going over there tomorrow, man, take a few pictures of it for me, will you?
I'll probably take a few photos and send them to you. Chaz after buying this, but tough sugar.
If you did, I would genuinely follow.
Well, you know something, I'll go over tomorrow now and have a look.
I know,
and
I probably would. It wouldn't surprise me.
I probably would now, just to piss you right off.
It would not surprise me one bit. Before Row kicks off here, we're going to hand this over now to the one and only Rhys Irwin. So this podcast will be out everywhere you get your podcast. Of course, you'll be listening to this on Friday morning. So have a good weekend. If you're heading out on the bike, stay safe. And we'll catch us all next week for episode 60. Sound like a plan? And
you wouldn't mind, like, you know, we make it out for an old rip over the weekend.
We absolutely just might. Just might. Sounds like a plan.
You might meet us somewhere.
Okay, folks, over to the one and only Rhys Irwin. Folks, I want to give a massive, massive welcome to the 2025 British Super Sport Champion, the one and only Rhys Irwin. You're very welcome to the podcast, man.
Well, boys, how's all getting on?
Fool of us, man, fool of us.
We're all flying, we're all better. We had a couple of technical issues there before we started, but we have them all sorted and ironed out now.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you, that's one thing. I wouldn't exactly be good at the old technology.
No. You're among friends here, man. You're among friends here.
I'm very tech-minded. All delete, isn't that it?
Well,
better not just put it off, turn it back on again.
Hope for the best.
Funny enough, fortunately for me and my brother, we have somewhat of agreement that he does all the admin work. So any flights booking, hotel booking, anything at all on the computer, he does, and then all the more sort of manual working on bikes and stuff, labour, I do all that. So it's some days it's a good deal for me, but most of the time it's a better deal for him.
Well, I'm definitely getting the raw deal in this club, man, because I do all the booking, the flights and accommodation, and I end up working on all these bikes, jeeps, vans. So I'm fucking doing both. I'm getting real.
Tony, will you pass me the violin there, please?
One there, you can play with 2 fingers.
Yeah. Violin.
No sympathy here, anyway.
I'll get me a little trumpet out, but it's in the Jeep.
yeah. Rhys, tell us all, for people that maybe aren't familiar with your story. I'm up to date on some of it anyway. How did you get into what was the starting point for bikes for you, man? How did it all come to fruition? Was it family members at it, or what was the starting point?
Do you know what? It's always really long. Like people always ask the question, how do you get into whatever, and it's this whole big long story. But to really try break it down, so my dad, he would have raced roads back in the day, way back in the day. We'd done a lot of sidecars, probably more so sidecars, and he did the roads and stuff back in the day, and they would have had road bikes, and would have a lot of bikes around the house. Would have worked on bikes a lot for people, and really, as long as I can remember, there's been motorbikes around the house of some sort. So then we started racing motocross. My brother, he's 4 years older than me, so he started racing motocross, and I was riding the PW50 around the garden, around the sand dunes and Downings and Donegal. And I think now, if I can't remember, I think you have to be 6 to race motocross in Ireland. I was going to say 5, but they have to be 6. And I had turned 6 on the Thursday. I've done my first race then on the Saturday, and I camped pretty much for as long as I can remember. Then I've been motorbikes ever since.
And come here, the motocross has obviously been a huge part of it. So you were actually fairly successful at the motocross, truth be told. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, well, I like I said, I grew up racing motocross. I raced motocross for years. To be honest, loved motocross. Like one of the best sports in the world. Still to this day, I try and follow as much motocross as I can and stay on top of it. But yeah, look, in my career, like I was always quite good. I was at the front end of any Irish Championship, Ulster Championship, everything that I would have raced for years. And we have the local area championship here. Probably would have started riding that, and then through the years, I always would have kept doing that along with my Irish Championship, whatever was going on. So I've won it a good few times, and had a couple of good seasons in the Irish Championship. And yeah, to be honest, I can't actually trying to think now off the top of my head. But yeah, look, I had a really good motocross career, loved motocross, loved every bit of it. And then I will say that in the last year of motocross, when I was riding in 85, I got a bit of help from HTM off road. So I was riding Husqvarna 85 for them. So
nice.
yeah, done all the normal motocross stuff, started in the 50s, then 65s, then on to the 85. And that last year when I was riding the 85, the Husqvarna 85. My brother, he had actually started riding track racing on the Aprilia 125. So we had a lot of days where dad and Keelan and brother went to do sort of track racing on the Aprilia 125, and then me and mum would go somewhere to an Irish motocross race. So that year we had a busy year.
Busy house, man. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, busy house. Yeah, but no, it was good. Look, all them memories and all that stuff. It all makes you, going unloading the van, loading the van up yourself, you and mum to drive from Donegal to wherever you're going, Mountain, Cork, or wherever it might have been. But look, it was all part of the story.
That is a hell of a trek, Matt. You're right up in Donegal. You're up kind of Carndon direction, or up that neck of the woods, are you?
Well, no. So I'm no Letterkenny. I'm literally just 10 minutes the far side of Letterkenny.
Oh, okay.
10 minutes just the far side of Letterkenny. Yeah,
it is still.
Yeah, still a good spin, but not as bad as Carndon. Carndon, you really are in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I work with a company up there, and they're up in Greencastle.
Yeah.
Where the ferries are.
Yeah, and the particular job they were working on was in Castletown Bear in Cork. So it used to take them 7 hours to get home.
Yeah, miserable.
Right. So come here, the motocross, and so just delving into that. Obviously, you mentioned Vernamount. Vernamount's a track I've done a couple of times myself. Absolutely class spot. What other kind of tracks have you done? Have you done them all? Were you in Doon and Gormanstown and that? Were they on the go?
Oh, I've done them all. Any motocross track up and down the country that was going sort of at that time, I've done it. Done Vernamount. I know Vernamount was closed there for a few years. I know they're obviously having a bit of an issue with insurance and stuff, but it did open back up again, didn't it?
It did, correct. Yeah.
It opened up.
First time I was down was during COVID, and they were on a couple of track days, and we used to go down to it, right, at YZF 450, and Jesus, it is just, even the setting for where it is, it's class.
Yeah, it's just lovely. Yeah. Actually, when I think of Vernamount, to be honest, I have 2 big crashes in Vernamount that I always think about.
Oh, Jesus Christ, were you in Cork University Hospital? Did you get in that far?
No, actually, we went as far as Limerick, and I went back in, and I've had a funny story where I had actually broke my left shoulder 2 weeks before it. And my dad, obviously, he would do a bit of diving, a bit of scuba diving and stuff, and he would dive for the Coast Guard and all that kind of stuff. And so he would have had pure oxygen, in like a diving cylinder. So people talk about going to hyperbaric chambers and stuff, and obviously the way that works would be you get a higher percentage of oxygen as you breathe. When you breathe in the air normally, you have, I can't remember the figures, but say it's 70% nitrogen, CO2, whatever, and you have this percentage of oxygen. So when you go into the hyperbaric chambers, they up the oxygen percentage, but also because you're under pressure, the molecules go smaller so they can get into your bones and into your joints, and that's the idea behind it. Okay. So I was sitting in the house and I was getting pure oxygen out of a dive cylinder, sitting watching TV from Dad. And 2 weeks later, I was out of the sling and I was good, and I went down to Cork Fairmount to do the winter series in the KTM 65 on a real mucky, wet, miserable day. And I think I won the first race by, I think, quite convincingly, maybe 20 odd seconds or so. And then the second race, same again, leading it by quite a good margin, and wet and miserable day. And Fairmount, as you come up the hill, I'm not sure if it goes the same when you come up the hill, say parallel to where the start gates are, and you have that step up.
Yeah, I know.
Well, all I remember is waking up like down the far side of step up, holding my shoulder, and then the next race getting ready to go out. And I remember thinking, "Oh shit, this is not good." But so got rid of the paramedics, and I told them I was fine, because it's one thing when you grow up racing motocross, you get it well drilled into you that. Get up and tell them you're okay, and then get back to the van and decide yourself then what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So back to the van, and as you're walking back over to the van, I could just feel my right shoulder, and I was like, I know this feeling. I know it all too well. So got the van loaded up again, and at Limerick Hospital, because my dad is from Limerick originally. So we went back up to Granny and Granddad's, got showered, got all the Vernmount muck washed off me, up into the hospital. And so when the doctor pulled my notes, he goes, "Oh yes, left shoulder," and we were like, No, right shoulder." And he was like, No, I have the notes here, left shoulder. And we were like, "Yeah, left shoulder, but actually right shoulder now."
No
Yeah.
Jesus.
I,
You were praying for the oxygen that day, I'd say.
I think the teacher at school was just thinking I was trying to get out to do my homework, because I've done 2 weeks with the left sling, and then I've done another whatever amount of weeks with the right sling.
Oh, Jesus Christ. But that Vernmount, apparently years ago, well, I don't know how long ago, they used to race the track in the opposite direction. So you used to actually go down that hill. And
I remember it going down the hill.
Do you? No, I don't remember. I don't know which is worse.
I would have been on a 50. So I would have been doing like the 50 to the automatic, the smaller track, when they were going down that hill. But I think my brother went down the hill.
Jeez, man, I don't know.
My brother went down the hill,
yeah. I don't know. I remember we hadn't a clue, not that we've a clue now, but I think I told the story before. We rocked up, we had done a good few track days. This was during COVID, there was nothing going on, so we headed down to Cork and we just got out of the van, and this guy pulled in this massive motorhome and pulling out all the bikes for the kids, and we just got chatting to him, and he's like, "What do you think of the track?" And we were like, "Yeah, no, it looks good." Like, and he says, "What, they just walk it this morning?" And we were like, "No, we never walked it, no." And he says, "But you know the track?" And they said, "Well, no, we're never here before." And he says, "Well, you'd want to be going walking it before you go out on it." So we were like, "All right, okay." And we did walk it. And I don't know what we should have just put the bikes back in the van and walked home. I was hating it. And I remember looking at this hill, like it is steep, like. I remember going, my bike was a bitch to start, like, and I said, if I cut the bike out halfway down this, they'll have to get me here, because there was no way. But it is, it's a serious fucking track. And just talking about tracks, and I know it's another track that's familiar to you, is Desert Martin up in Tyrone. You've definitely heard of that a couple of times.
Well, when we were chatting about it, there was motocross. It would have been more obviously Donegal. We would have been, so you would have. I remember, maybe it's different now, but you would have had the Southern Centre Championship, you have the Ulster Championship, and you have the Irish Championship. So we always would have been Ulster and Irish, and then whatever around the Southern Centre you could squeeze in or whatever. Yeah. And Ulster Championship had a race, a lot of Desert Martin, a lot of Dunnamana, who had 2 races a year at Dunnamana, which was brilliant. And that track being gone now is a real shame. You would have had Tandragee as well. I loved Tandragee. It was brilliant. You would have had the local track 2 minutes over the road from me, Garten of Erin. Do you remember Garten of Erin? No.
Oh, yeah. I was never up on it, but I remember it, yeah.
Yeah, Garten of Erin. What else was there? Jeez, there was loads now. Do you know what? We were just saying before the show started, the early years are ticking by. The motocrossing feels like a blink ago, but really when you try and sit down and remember it all.
I know. That happens, and it's only going to get worse as you get older, as these old outlads.
You know what? I'm blaming the long day at work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, that's all part and parcel of it too. But geez, Desert Martin, I remember as I said before, we went up. I think there was around a British Championship up there one year.
Yeah, there would be, yeah.
Yeah, we just went up for a look, and they were like we thought we were kind of handy enough, I suppose. And then we went up, we were just like, Jesus Christ, these boys are on a whole different level altogether, you know?
Yeah, no, there's nothing more impressive than watching a good motocross rider riding well. It's just magic. They make something that looks so difficult, and it just looks like they're just surfing on top of it. It does. And it's just brilliant. But I hadn't rode a motocross bike in years, so we'll probably get this bit of the story later on, in the podcast. But when I went to do short circuit racing, because it's like you're young and you don't really want to commit too much to anything. I was doing British Super Teens, but then when the British Talent Cup thing came up and we had the opportunity, I basically sold everything, all the motocross stuff, bikes, everything, to try and get the money together to sort of do a good job of the Talent Cup thing. And then, funny enough, I hadn't rode a motocross bike in years. And then last winter, Josh Chambers, one of my mates, and he actually was mechanic in Burrow's team and with my brother and stuff. He had a spare motocross bike, so I actually got to go back out Desert Martin for the first time and probably God knows how long, and last winter, which was good. So hopefully, if I can, I ended up crashing his bike and bursting the radiator, but I got him a radiator. But if I can talk him into letting me out in it again this year, that'll be a nice way to spend the winter.
yeah, absolutely. It's great. It is great. Like training, it's great fitness. I know Kevin Keys, who I'm sure you know, Kevin.
Yeah.
Well, he as part of bike training and fitness and all that, he'd be big into the motocross too,
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. Especially when you grow up racing motocross, I feel like you never really lose it. And when you're young going through motocross, you obviously have to learn all the basics. So
Yeah,
yeah, once you kind of get up and get comfortable and stuff again, you have kind of the basics of what to do. So you can still train good and efficiently and get everything out of it without being too reckless and too unsafe. Because obviously
absolutely.
that's the main
Yeah.
concern is motocross is maybe someone during the season would be it's so easy to get hurt and so easy to make a mistake, especially when you're tired.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. A lad said to me before, the difference between motocross and roads and stuff is like with motocross, it's not a question of if you get broke up. It is when you get
When,
broke
yeah,
up.
yeah,
You know what I mean, because you do get broke up at it. But
yeah.
my young lad, I got him a little 125, and so he'd been going out with it, and I haven't been on one for years. And he says to me, he's at me, Dad, you're going to get a motocross bike, and so I bit the bullet and I bought a CRF 450, and you think you're going to pick up where you left off, but
Yeah, not a hope, yeah.
as a fella says, that was probably 5 years and 3 stone ago.
Yeah.
So it's not as easy. It's not as easy.
Yeah.
Come here, going from so then you spoke a bit there about going and doing the Aprilia Cup and stuff. So that was kind of that where it all kind of transitioned from there.
Yeah, well, so last year racing motocross, obviously, mum and dad were they were both getting pulled from every side of the country, and I'd been to a few races with my brother, and I liked the track racing, and I loved everything about it, and then also I had the opportunity to go straight and race the British Super Team Championship with so Trevor Scott, who would have known my dad from back in the day from racing, he wanted to try and set up a bit of a team and help and bring a few young riders on, so he brought me and my brother. And when we say it was a team, to be fair to Trevor, we had Trevor coming with us, Gary, Fleming, another guy, and then my dad, and we all and Keelan, obviously, and we all just kind of went and we turned up and down England doing the British 25 or the British Super Teams Championship. And it was a good opportunity. And at the time, I still was in love with motocross and I had every intention in the world of, being a motocrosser and making it motocross. But when the opportunity came to do that there, obviously it was the plan. So yeah, I'd done that. I think it was 2 years I did that. So done my first year, and funny enough, my first weekend riding an Aprilia 125 was at Brands Hatch in England, and my second lap I crashed the Aprilia 125, and so I got a real what's the word? I didn't get much time to sort of ease myself into it, but by the end of the weekend, we kind of got it all figured out and actually finished in the podium that weekend, which was nice to start my circuit racing career. So yeah, I went on, done that there for a few years. Actually finished second in it by 1 point in 2016, I think it was. So second, but it's Super Team Championship by 1 point now. And I will say the 1 point has haunted me for the last whatever many years.
This was you were took over. I think, did I hear that before?
Yeah, well, look, it just kind of you have a long season and loads of stuff happened through the year. But yeah, I got taken out at the second last round and taken out the last round by the same person, and he ended up winning the championship.
Oh,
So
man.
that there was
Are you still friends?
yeah. We weren't friends before, never mind after it.
I can imagine. Gee, I know what
yeah,
picture's on your dartboard.
yeah. But nah, to be fair, I will say when you go through racing, you race a lot of people and you have different people. And I don't like saying rivals because you're from every year you change and you move up a class or you do whatever you're doing. But I will say you racing against good people makes you better. And to be fair, I've been fortunate but unfortunate in a way that every class I've been into, when I was in Super Teams, it was Jack Scott I was racing then. He was a good rider. Went on to be a British Superbike rider, won a British GP2 championship. So between the two of us, we both went on to have quite good good careers. And then also you had as I went through after Super Teams, Super Teams it was to the British Talent Cup. So I was in the first two seasons of the British Talent Cup. So the British Talent Cup at that time it wasn't like how it is now where you sort of buy a bike and you go race it. So it was originally they wanted to sort of set it out like the Asia Talent Cup and like the Red Bull Rookies Cup. So you had to go to a selection event. Mm-hmm. So we rocked up at a selection event and you get to Stowe and Silverstone. They done the weekend, the Silverstone Grand Prix. So they had all these Honda 250 like road bikes, like bog standard bikes, and then this track made out. It's a go-kart track in the middle of Silverstone track. It's called Stowe. So you had all these things laid out, and you go there for the first day, and they have 200 odd kids that all applied, and like I think a lot of people that didn't apply didn't even get the selection event. So everyone that was there was good and they put us all out in these bikes, a cold morning. You know what it's like in Silverstone, and probably September time in the UK. And they just put us all out. They would put us all into different groups. So I think I was maybe say the fourth or fifth group. And the first group of guys go out, and the second group of guys go out, third group of guys, and they worked out through the groups during the day. So that morning you got your riders briefing from Alberto Pug, who is the current Repsol Honda MotoGP sort of team manager or the boss. Yep. And they had Anna Espeleta, the owner of Dorna, the owner of MotoGP. But at the time it was she was his daughter, but I think now she runs it and does everything. Mm-hmm. So it was really, you get there the first day and you're like, bloody hell, this is a bit mad, this. And they have all these Honda trucks and all these mechanics, and you see a series of the Alpine Star truck, and obviously it's the Wednesday before MotoGP, so like all the MotoGP trucks there, the MotoGP riders coming to watch, the British MotoGP riders are there, having a look, and then you have the different
no
like
pressure,
no pressure at all.
And you have the different what are they called? The judges at different corners of the track. So Jeremy Williams was a judge. He was at one corner, and then you'd Alberto at another corner, another couple Grand Prix riders dotted around, older Grand Prix riders that maybe that were involved in like the Red Bull rookies and stuff. So they literally sent us all out for a session, got us all in, and then they just cut maybe 20, 25 people, put us all out again, cut 20, 25 people, put us all out, cut 20, 25 people until they were left with the best, I think it was 22 riders in all across, Ireland, the UK. And to be honest, really anyone that could get a British passport or get it across the line.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then that was the start of that. To be honest, at that point, to be fair, probably people didn't realise how big of a deal it was to be selected into that, because 3 months later, 4 months later, if we were going to Valencia to ride a factory or standard, but built by the factory from Honda Moto3 bike, NSF 250, the same as what they have now, and prepped fully by Honda, Alpine Star leather, shark helmets for everyone on a private closed Valencia Grand Prix circuit for our first test of the year.
Gee.
And
what age were you back then, Rhys? What age were you when this was going on?
What age was I? I think I was 15 going into that.
My God, man.
And I think I was 15, yeah. And I will say, obviously, there was people, because the age range was, I think, 12 to 19. So I was happy that I was a wee bit older going into it, because I did understand how big it was and I knew to take it serious. And I think because I was 15, I was still young, but I had enough cop on to get as much out of it as I could.
Yes.
And that was really, to be honest, them 2 years are probably the best experience that I've ever had in motorbike racing. Like, it was unbelievable. It's so hard to explain. I could probably do a podcast on it alone. Like, if I sat down and thought about it and went through everything. Like, we arrived the first day, and the first, they flew us all out to Spain. They put us in a hotel, and then they put us on a bus from the hotel to the track. And this is maybe March time, and they've private hired the track, and we're all getting out on the bikes the first time. And on the Thursday, so we go in, we all get our Alpine Star leathers that we all get measured for and prepped for, and we get all our team gear, all our clothing, showing the bike, go through, prep everything, brand new bikes, brand new everything, get all the photos done, all the media stuff done. Like, I remember you pick your number out of a hat, so all the bikes were number 1 to 23. It actually might have been now. I remember seeing a 23, and I picked, at the time I was number 69. I never explained the story of how I came 69, but I was 69, number 69.
It's a good number.
Yeah. I was number 69 from when I was 6 years old. Now, when I was 6, I obviously didn't know what it meant, but by the time I got to 15, I knew what it was.
Very well knew.
By the time I got to 15, my voice was breaking and I knew what it was without saying too much.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I picked out number 15, and I remember the time going, well, 6 and 9 added together, 15. So that's a good omen for me.
It's a good omen, man, for sure.
Yeah. And and then they kitted us out with all the leathers, everything, and then they stripped us down, they weighed us, and they went through. So they put all the family, the helpers, mechanics, everyone out. So they adjusted all of us. So you think maybe 20 odd, young teenagers, and they had Alberto Pug, Anna Espeleta, the main guys, the rider coaches, everything in there, weighed us all. Basically told the ones that maybe didn't train enough, that needed to train more and needed to lose weight, and then us that maybe the topper guys that maybe took it a bit more serious or knew what they were getting themselves in for arrived ready to go, and they were like, oh, you guys are okay, and it was really cutthroat and it was really tough and it was really hard and it was really like they didn't take they didn't take any shit from us.
Yeah.
And it was honestly the best thing ever.
Jesus Christ. So on the day, was there lads that literally rocked up and they got weighed and were told no, or did they still get the ride?
No. They still got to ride, but they were told you like so on the first test it was all our weights are recorded and they say so I remember like one of the other guys was told like, oh, you need to lose 2 kilos, and they looked at him and they poked him on his pudgy bit and said, right, that needs to go. And
Holy shit,
I was and like he probably only was maybe 14 or 15, but it was just the just the ethos they had towards, and it obviously shows with how many Spanish and Italians are so good and so many in the MotoGP and World Championship because they're brought up in that environment from whatever age.
Yeah.
And it was good that way. And I will say, again, like I said, I was happy that I got a little bit older because I got there trained and I was fit. And at that stage, I'd done a lot of sports. I'd boxed for years. I played rugby. Played a lot of rugby, raced motocross. So I kind of already understood you needed to be in good shape, and I already was. I probably was, naturally in pretty good shape. So and then through the year, every Thursday before the race began, we were weighed, and so there was never any letting yourself go or stopping training or anything because like they would have noticed half a kilo and would have said, "Why are you half a kilo heavier?"
Yeah, honest to God,
yeah.
It's pressure, but I suppose if you want to be up at the pinnacle of it, that's what you have to do, I suppose.
Yeah, 100%. And like anything, the good people were able to sort of make it work and thrive and manage all that. And then maybe the people that maybe weren't as cut out for it, that stuff maybe got on top of them or bothered them, or maybe they didn't take that side of it serious enough. And that's just, again, I just think it's the nature of why maybe there is so many good Spanish riders and stuff just because they're brought up in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, no, the British Talent Cup was just amazing. I'm trying to think, like, even the first test. So we done the first day, maybe 3 or 4 sessions, and we get to the evening. And I remember Alberto came in as he was obviously out in the scooter watching everyone doing whatever we were doing, and comes in and he gets the whiteboard and he writes maybe 10 names. And I remember looking at the names going, well, I'm not in that list, is that good or bad? And then he goes, right, everyone on this here lead board, you're not even doing the basics right. Why is here? And I remember going, thank God I'm not in that list.
Jesus Christ, man. You see, you don't like for the likes of us, you kind of think it's like, we kind of have this probably picture in our head that's like all real friendly and I'll come in and would help you, but it's not. So you're either up to the mark.
But like if you think they were investing a lot of money to have us there. And I just think again, if you know who I'm talking about, Alberto Pug, he's always in the Honda and always looks cross.
Yeah, I know exactly the person you're talking about.
It's I can tell you it's not an act. It's
no, he has one of these faces that you just go.
Yeah, he expects. But again, to be honest, I thrived in it. I loved it. I just thought it was brilliant, and again, look, there was days where I was lying there and my little Moto 3 was probably in a couple of pieces and I probably wasn't flavour of the month. But again, I do think that it was just that all that stuff makes you, and I think you can see now because a lot of the riders that were in it that were chosen in that 20 are the guys that you see now coming through in British Superbikes, obviously I'd like to say myself, but Max Cook, Storm Stacey was in it, Roy Skinner was in it, I don't even know why I started naming them because I'll not be able to name them all, but you get the they're all. I know
what you're saying. Yeah, for sure.
And any of the young guys coming through at the minute, really, they were all in that crop.
Mm-hmm.
It was brilliant.
But it is like, I suppose, as we kind of champion it on the podcast, and I've said it before, I do probably think in a lot of ways if you can make it like yourself as a motorbike, racer of any description in Ireland, you will make it anywhere because I suppose first and foremost the expense of everything and how far you have to travel to go to some of these places and to some of these tracks, and obviously we're in the midst of it now where there's an insurance crisis, so it's all at a stop at the minute here, just that extra bit of respect for someone like yourself that's that has gone through. And I'm sure, like I know obviously on that weekend there was a lot of stuff paid for and stuff, but it obviously comes down to a big expense, I'm sure, today, and you have to obviously have the support.
Yeah, and like even we talking about the Talent Cup where they were investing money and everything in it, but you still probably had to spend, you did have to spend a lot of your own money to train and be prepared. Like that's maybe what that's what I was talking about earlier when I said I got through super teens and I still had my 85 motocross bike there, and I was like, oh, I might go back and I might do a bit or I might do whatever. Once I get into the British Talent Cup, I mean, we sold everything to train and go to Spain and test the bike and try ride the bike. And then because the British Talent Cup only was 8 races, might not even have been that, might have been, was it 8? Was it 6? Only 6 or 8 races. So you had to do other stuff to make sure you were sharp. And even though you got that good opportunity for nothing, you probably had to spend more money to make the most of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
But,
and then of course there's the other element of school,
Oh, I was always lucky. To be fair, I wasn't too bad in school. Mum always had a rule that if I started fucking about in school, that there'd be no more motorbikes. So I kept my head down, didn't get into any trouble. And I'm lucky, to be fair. My school, I went to school in Milford, Loretto Milford, for anyone from Donegal listening. And to be honest, I couldn't fault them. They were always really accommodating. Even to this day, like when I won the championship, they put a post up and everything about me and sent me a letter. So no, I will say, school, I was always very fortunate. They were supportive as they could be.
And I can imagine, as a 15-year-old who's racing motorbikes in Spain and stuff, you must have been handy enough with the ladies, I'd say. Just looking back to our school days, I'd say you were somewhat of a bit of a celebrity, I'd say, at that stage.
You know what? The problem is in Donegal, if you don't play Gaelic, you're no one.
That's not Donegal. That's everywhere in Ireland, man, to be honest with you. Yeah, exactly. If you don't play a county, forget about it.
Yeah, you may forget about it.
Yeah, honest to God, that's unbelievable. So then, obviously, after a Talent Cup, what was your next step in stone? Kind of after that, what year were you talking here? So that's 20.
Yeah, so I'd done the 2 seasons of Talent Cup, and it was brilliant, and I learned so much. And I think the second season I finished up 4th in the championship. I think I might have been 5th, but tied on points for 4th. And I think because the other guy, I think he won a race, I didn't win a race, and that's why he would have got it. He got it over me. But to be honest, more so than anything, just a good experience for me. But like anything, it gets to the stage where it's over, and you start looking what you do next. And I, in my time in the British Talent Cup, Max Cook, he, after the first year, he went away to do the Junior World Championship and the Moto3 stuff in Spain off the back of the British Talent Cup. And my second year of the British Talent Cup, I struggled a bit with my weight. Now, I'm not heavy. I'm around up to 5'9", but I'm probably a bit less than that. And I'm 66, 67 kilos now. But at 15 years old, I was the exact same height and the exact same weight. And on them wee bikes, it was such a part of weight was so important. So I was probably racing another 15-year-old that was probably the same height as me, but he was 52, 53 kilograms, and that's
huge difference.
Massive. It's more than 10%, over 10% of your body weight.
Yeah.
And I found the second year was tough on that part. And as much as I really wanted the Moto3 thing to happen for me, it just didn't. And I remember when the British Talent Cup was finishing up on the last round of the championship, the guy, like I said before, about when you go through your career, you race against people that are good and they make you better, and that's all part of it. And through every championship, you battle against people and you race them. You have to learn and get better. But equally, I would say through your career, you meet a lot of people that are good and they help you a lot, and they help you to make it happen and keep the whole show on the road, or they help get the best out of you, learn off them. And the Danny Ribalta, the rider coach, was someone that he's maybe the first person, obviously other than like my dad and my brother and my family and all, I remember him. I learned a lot off him. And I remember the last race, the British Talent Cup, Silverstone MotoGP 2019, he stopped me on the grid. And at this point, we knew, because obviously the British Talent Cup, they dangled the carrot of that they were going to take someone to the Junior World Championship in Spain to ride a Moto3. And then obviously the path would be to take them then to Grand Prix in Moto3. And he said to me on the start line before the last race, he said, look, you deserve to be in this championship. You're good enough to be in World Championship, but just not on these bikes. And so it was nice, and I always took a bit of comfort in that. But ultimately, it was hard because you put so much into it, and you want the Moto3 thing to happen. But unfortunately for me, I was probably 10 kilos too heavy at that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you get to the end of the year, and wasn't sure what to do. And at this point, my brother, he was racing British Superstock 600, and he was at the stage going into that next season, would have been 2020. He was at the stage going into that season where he'd won races already, and he was going into that year to be like a championship contender and and be one of the main guys in it. So I was like, you know what? I've had my Town Cup for the first couple of years. I'll get on. So actually, Keelan, that year, they had allowed the 636 Kawasaki into stock 6. They went from the old ZX6 to the 636 Kawasaki. So Keelan had an R6, and then they had changed during the winter for the team he was riding for, had a 636 Kawasaki, and they basically bought him a 636 Kawasaki, obviously, because it was a bit of an advantage with power and with everything else. And I says, well, look, sure, I'll ride Keelan's old R6, and I'll go and I'll, through the races I can, I'll learn this year. Keelan will have a good year. We'll help him get through it, because obviously stock 6 at that time for, mum and dad to run the two of us, it would have been, to be honest, nearly impossible for it to happen. And I said, sure, look, we'll do what we can do. And then we done the pre-season test at Donington, and I actually didn't even do the pre-season test, because the pre-season test was £500 for the entry. And I said, I'm not going to bother doing that there, because I'm not going to win next weekend at Donington. It was always the week before the race. And I said, I'm not going to win next weekend at Donington. I'm only learning to ride 600. I'll not, it'll be Keelan. So Keelan went and done it, and I mechanicked for him, between me and Dad, mechanicked for him at the test. And then went to the first round then at Donington, and Keelan finished 2nd, and I finished 8th from 19th on the grid. I had a few problems on the Friday through the practice and the qualifying, but that year was good.
That was your first race?
First race on the 600, yeah. Well, no, sorry. I done the last race of the Irish Championship Mondello after the British Talent Cup finished up, and I won there on the bike. And so I can't actually remember what the record was or what the days was it was today, but I remember Andy Quinn had told me that day, he looks after the Irish Surbikes, the Irish Surbike, the news, the Facebook page, that I was actually the youngest ever super sport race winner in Ireland. So that was a nice thing to get that day. I think it was Mike Brown was there. Who else was in the race that day? Mike Brown, Eamon O'Grady would have been there. But no, that was good. To be fair, that another day that I didn't really expect to go and do much. I said, sure, I'll go ride Keelan's R6, and because he needed it the next weekend for the last round of BSB, so I was like, whatever I do, I'll just not put it upside down. And but yeah, it was nice to win there. So yeah, we come into the next year, and then I'm left out a massive detail there. So that year, the main concern was looked at trying to run 2 bikes in the British Championship for me and my brother. For my mum and my dad, was going to be really difficult, to be honest, nearly impossible. But what happened was they had the COVID outbreak came in 2020, and the season was postponed. So the season then was cut short to 6 rounds. So there we were straight away like, well, that's only half the money. So that's good. That makes life a little bit easier for us. Also at the time, I was in school, but I was working, so I was eligible for the COVID payment. And so at the time, now this is all alleged story, by the way.
Alleged, don't worry, we use it quite frequently.
Allegedly, a set of tyres at the time was £280 sterling per set of tyres. And we had a race every second week. So I'd have allegedly 350 COVID payments. And I would be on the boat to the next round of BSB, and I would go up and I'd be able to buy myself 2 sets of tyres with my two COVID payments. So the first round, bought my tyres, done my thing. So I think I had a bit of a problem in qualifying with the bike, and then I ended up going from 18th, 19th in the grid to finish 8th, which I was like, you know what, that's pretty good. Keelan's coming home with the trophy. You know what, we're off to a good start. And then the next weekend was Snetterton, so it was 2 weeks' time, same again, 2 more alleged 350s. And 2 more sets of tyres, 2 scrubs, 3 free practice and stuff, and then a set of tyres for qualifying, a set of tyres for the race. And qualifying, riding around, everything was all good, just going out, going fast as I can. Like no pit board because Dad's looking after us, the 2 bikes. And came in the pit lane, the end of the session, going, you know what, that's pretty good there. That was a good job there. And I seen Jack Kennedy on pit lane. He was riding the Tag Superbike at the time. Give me the thumbs up and everything. And I was like, he must have went all right. And drove on up pit lane, and Dad is going, P1, P1, P1. I was like, what do you mean P1? So I ended up qualifying on pole from a second. That's the second round of the British Super Stock Championship in Snetterton that year. And so safe to say, after that there, I got a pit board and got a lap timer and everything.
Jesus.
But I ended up finishing on the podium in the race third, my first podium. And in stock six at that time, they give you tires and prize money. So I would have got maybe 250 quid for third place, and I got a set of tires. So straight away, the next weekend, I got one of the COVID payments, didn't have to go into tires. Because
I thought you were going to say you cancelled your COVID payment.
No, I didn't. So if I could still get it now, I would be.
You and me both, man. You and me both.
But yeah, went to the next round, and when was the next round? The next round might have been, what was the next round? Snetterton. The next round was Silverstone, and I qualified on pole and won at Silverstone. And that was the first race I won. I actually had a problem with, I don't know if any of us maybe remember the race, I watched the race, but I had a problem with third gear. So I kept having false neutral. So I would get to the front and start to pull away, and then I'd have a false neutral, run on, and everyone would come back to me or pass me again. So I had to like go up and down through them a wee bit. But I won the Silverstone race. Went to somewhere else, went to Donington the next weekend and won there as well. So I was getting up a good stack of tires, getting a good stack of the Pirelli tires. from the podium bonus, because if I won a race, I got 3 sets. So I was working away. I was able to start saving the COVID payment to help mum and dad with the boats and all the normal stuff. And got to Oldham Park that year again. I think maybe on the podium, and then Brands Hatch. Oh, so I was trying to piece together the season there, because it's condensed season, so you have different rounds. So went to Oldham Park and had an okay weekend. I think I finished third and fourth. We had 2 races that weekend. So at this point, because it's a condensed season and I didn't start the season super strong, I was going into the last round where a bit behind in points, but wasn't dreadful. We had 2 races that weekend. So Saturday evening, first race, they had to put a new chain on the bike. Chain, I'm actually not going to say the brand of the chain in case again anyone important is listening. But we got given 2 chains, brand new chains. They're like to help because we were going well. We got given these 2 chains, and the chain on the second lap of the race broke in Brands Hatch coming in the second last corner, and that was the championship over, because obviously the other guy went on to win the race, and then mathematically I was out. I only had one more race to go. And then on the Sunday, I won on the Sunday from wherever. I think I was back up in the grid because the chain had broke. And that was my stock 6 season. Me and Keelan went 1-2 in the last race of the year. I finished first, he finished second. As that was the fairy tale to sort of end the last time me and my brother was racing each other.
I guarantee there's a picture of that hanging up in your house somewhere.
Oh, do you know what? There was loads of pictures that day.
Yeah, absolutely. That's mantelpiece material right there, man. That's unreal.
Especially as well, because what it's just like, people go to BSB and they go over and they do stock 6 or whatever, and other people have it easier than other people, and people might have helped people, and I don't even mean all the time, like financial help, whatever, even just manpower. That season was so hard. I remember, like, I would get off the bike and I would run, to get my legs off, take the wheels out of the bike, take them to Pirelli, because we only had one set of wheels. We had a set of Wests and a wheel set of Dries, and that was it. So I would go to Pirelli, get the tires changed, come back, put them in, get the tire warmers on. Anything I wanted to change or do anything between me, Dad, or whatever, because obviously he was also doing Keelan as well and looking after him.
Yeah.
And we would get everything sort of done, and then literally, we need to get time, get Les and all back on and get ready to go and head down for the next session or the race or whatever it was. And it was just hard. It was just
physically and mentally and everything. You know what I mean? You like, some people probably have the luxury of just focusing on the the race ahead. You're there running around whipping wheels.
100%. Yeah, 100%. But again, like I said, all that stuff is part of it. And it's probably maybe what makes you or stands to you, in years to come. But yeah, that year was hard. So see them, and like the good results were coming. It was such a relief. And then the end of the year, me and Keelan 1-2. Like, it was just a brilliant way to end a year. That I would not a hard year, because obviously it was brilliant. We were both going well. Keelan was getting trophies. I was winning as a rookie in stock 6. But I'd say just a physically hard year to make it to the races was difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, on the drive to Snetterton, so we used to have this 7.5 ton truck, and there's no word of a lie. We used to have this 7.5 ton truck, and so the races, you start free practice on the Friday and you do Saturday, Sunday. So Thursday is like setup day. So you need to get in pretty early Thursday to go in and get set up and do whatever you're doing. And so we normally would work on the Wednesday and then get the 2 o'clock in the morning, Thursday morning boat into Holyhead. So you'd land in Holyhead and you would drive down wherever you're driving on a Thursday and get there for whatever time. And I remember Snetterton boat over on the Wednesday night, get off the boat, driving, through the night, whatever the hell, what time it is in the morning or the night, and it's dark. And Dad goes, just have this awful feeling that there's a wheel loose or something. So we'd jump out and Dad would put the breaker bar on it and I would swing out of it and tighten it. And Dad would go, is it loose? And I go, it's not loose, but it just does tighten. It just doesn't stop. And we're all tired. So we'd get on and we'd drive another bit. And then he'd go, no, something definitely doesn't feel right. So we ended up saying, look, we're just wrecked tired. We'll pull into services here and we'll go to sleep and wake up in the morning. I woke up the next morning to Costa. So me and Dad pull the jack out and jack up. And then obviously I'm smaller. So I crawl in under the truck. And as I get my hand up and under behind, it's a Reynolds Midland, like a 7.5 ton truck, I was able to pull, the wheel studs. I was able to pull the head studs, the heads off the wheel studs. They were coming off in my hand. So what was happening was, as we were tightening and they were pulling the heads off the studs and pulling it out. So I remember literally the Thursday before Snetterton, that weekend, where I qualified on pole without the pit board or nothing, I'm literally in a service station outside a Costa or a Starbucks underneath the truck with 2 7.5 ton wheels in between my legs, trying to lift them up, trying to figure out what the hell are we going to do about an hour away from the track. And all this stuff here before you even turn a wheel or before you even have to put a helmet on.
That's unreal. Yeah. See, that's that's the side of it that people don't see. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, it's like even that, I even forgot about that story until we were just talking about it there. I remember me and Dad going to our local breakers yard down the road and going down to this rusty old truck with a lump hammer to the back of the truck, and your man let us beat the old studs out of a truck that was just lying there like a chassis. And he says, "Sure, I can't charge you for them." And we went back up, put them into the truck and away down Snetterton, and got there late that evening / stroke night. Set the on and I pull the bikes, so I prep the bikes, do whatever we needed to do, get up the next morning early and sort the tyres because you couldn't do it on the Thursday. And honestly, everything was just hard. But again, I will say, because everything was going well and we're getting good results and me and Keelan were going well, it was brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And then there's obviously people that go through not saying the exact same situations as that, but similar situations to that and don't get the result. You know what I mean? And that,
100%. And I would say that is really the hard part about that's really the hard thing about motorbike racing when you're coming through, when you're a lot of the time when things are going well and people are brilliant, and I'm so lucky to have such good support from everyone, and I'm so grateful for it. But the mad thing is probably them years are probably the years you could have done with the support and everything, and because maybe you're not in the spot or you're not doing as well. Again, I was so lucky that I had great people helping me, and I was so lucky my mum and dad were, putting as much into, and I always my brother coming with me. But yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that have to do all that hard stuff, and just so that you don't always get the reward for it. Because we were those guys as well. We had years going back, and we had weekends going back where it would have been hard, and unfortunately, you had nothing to show for it, and you were going, "What the hell's this for?"
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But it just goes to show, the love for the sport, the dedication that you have to have is, you can't fake that. You either have it or you don't. At the end,
no, you have to make it happen, don't you? And look, if it wasn't for motorbike, what else to be doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, we're exactly right, man. Yeah. So what was the size? So that was your super stock.
That was super stock 600 in 2020. 2020. Yeah. So that year, obviously, as I said, I came in not really not that I wouldn't expect to do good, because I wouldn't load the truck up and go racing if you didn't think you're going to do good. But that year I was a rookie on 600, young, first time riding the big bike. I just assumed that I wasn't going to be that strong, and if any day I was in the top 10 was a good result, and Keelan was going to be winning, and that was going to be it. I was going to take a back seat and let Keelan, and then just the way the season sort of unfolded, I ended up challenging, and I would say if I had a bit of a longer season or wasn't as unlucky at the last round, I could have won that championship. And it was just literally taking it one race at a time as it came. I would say I was very green at that stage to the whole, bike setup stuff and all that kind of thing. So I literally got the bike out of the van and pulled it out and went out on the track. And then I think we went from Snetterton to Silverstone, I think it might have been Oulton Park or Donington, and we literally did not touch a click, didn't touch a mill, didn't touch a spring, didn't even change the gear on the bike. But no, again, that was all part and parcel and all part of the learning.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, honest to God. And what year then did you go? Did you make the transition then to the
Super Sport?
Yeah.
So that year, obviously, as I was a rookie, and maybe I wasn't expected to be getting good results. Robin Appleyard of the Appleyard Macadam team, I was kind of speaking to him, after a couple of rounds, and I would have chatted to him through the season. And at the end of the year, he says, "Well, look, come and ride my bike in Super Sport." And that was, albeit, probably, a big opportunity and a lot sort of take on without a lot of experience, but it was a really good opportunity. And you know what? Again, like I said, the hard years and the stuff that maybe doesn't go to plan, but probably what makes you better. So I went on that next year, 2021, to ride for Robin Appleyard on a Yamaha R6 British Super Sport on the Appleyard Macadam bike.
Mm-hmm.
And 2021, I will say, was probably, I wouldn't say hard year, because look, I was never really expected to go and win, and I had a lot of really good rides. Like as a rookie in Super Sport now, we've seen in the last couple of years rookies come in and get onto good bikes and stuff, and they kind of maybe struggle to find their feet, which is the normal, and when you come into Super Sport, it's a big step, from stock sector sport bike and stuff, and maybe bigger step than maybe what people give it credit. But that year I had podiums, qualified in pole, Silverstone, had a couple of front rows. So as a rookie, I had a couple of flashes of being really good and really strong, but I also made a lot of mistakes, and maybe was upside down a few many times and all that kind of stuff. But all the nature of the beast when you're learning, and like you guys said before, when you have, I think one thing that maybe stands a lot of the guys from home when they go over to the UK to race, is when you have all the hardship and you have the travel and you have all the stuff that makes it harder for us to even get there. I think when we all get there, we all try really, really hard. Maybe sometimes it's our detriment.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Yeah, that is definitely. I definitely think there's a lot of that involved in it, because it is that extra effort, extra finance, extra everything. If you're from this side of the world and you want to go over there and compete,
Yeah. I mean, you're sitting on the start line on Sunday morning, like how long the drive home is. And if you don't do good, there'll be not much chat to dad for the first 8 hours of the journey.
Yeah, that's the other side of it too. Yeah. That brought down from 21 to 22. Then
So done 2021 with Robin Appleyard on the Appleyard Macadam bike again. Learned a lot, but look, it was just one of them years. I had to learn. I had to find my feet. I had to sort of settle into the whole thing, and I learned a lot that year. Grew. Probably, look, you can't pick your opportunities in life. I'd be a firm believer, and maybe another year, if I'd got even a full season in stock 6 to kind of settle down and ride a big bike properly, I could have maybe come into Super Sport on Robin's bike and made me a bit more, or been a bit more consistent at the front. And but look, I had to learn a lot that year, and it was good. And then that year they decided to go different. At the end of the year, they went a different direction with the team. There's a few things, in the background that maybe moved the goalposts, and look, everything changed. So I ended up leaving the team at the end of 2021, and I went to ride for Astro JGR on a Triumph. The new 765 Triumph was coming in.
Oh yeah.
So went to ride the 765 Triumph for them in 2022, and again, I would say this was probably my hardest season in the champion, and in BSB, because I kind of had done my year of Super Sport learning. I'd kind of figured everything out, and I felt that whole year in 2022, I was back, I was comfortable, I could ride the bike well, and I was at the stage where I felt like I was good enough in myself to be like winning at the front. And just that year, the Triumph was not good, and it was really, really hard, and it was really challenging, and it was really difficult to get anything to work. And you look at the Triumph now, and in a World Championship, it's going quite well, and looks to be able to have a couple of good rides on it this year. But like the Triumph that I rode in 2022 was at 80% throttle, and now they're at 100% throttle. We had like a standard engine spec. They have like an upgraded engine spec now. So straight away off the bat, the power difference is massive. And then they also have a lot of stuff in the chassis that they're able to change now. So now in Super Sport, you can change your head angle, your offset, your fork angle. You can change your swinging arm pivot, you can change your swinging arm linkage, you can change all that stuff. And at the time, we couldn't do that. And it was at the start of all the next generation stuff. So I basically had a sit-up road bike that they put clip-ons and fairings on. It says, "We'll restrict that up there now, and then go on. Best of luck." And it was just so hard. You just felt like I was on a hiding to nothing.
Yeah, you just couldn't make the adjustments to kind of suit your, to make it more easy to ride, I suppose, or suitable for yourself.
Yeah, well, all it was is they done a year and it was just uncompetitive. And look, I will say I felt like I got the best out of it at times. Like I managed to put on the podium at Brands Hatch. I managed to, battle for the podium in a lot of races. But just that bike at that time, it just wasn't the bike to be on. And again, like I said, with the chassis concessions and even now the newer Triumph, like as it comes out of the factory, it has different forks and different everything. Like because it was the start of the next generation super sport thing with allowing the bigger CCs, the bike were restricted more because they didn't want this bike to come in and just blow everything away. And then also with the chassis, it was the sit-up road bike with fairings on it, whereas now it's like a super bike almost. They can change whatever they want to make the chassis of the bike good, whereas I didn't have that and I didn't have a lot of power. And it was difficult. But again, like I said, unfortunately, you don't pick your opportunities. So all these hardships and all these hard years of the years, you probably have to get the best out of yourself. And then going forward, it stands to you. Or I'd like to think so anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. Absolutely. So you rode that for 2022, was it?
Yeah, 2022, I rode that. And then at the end of the year, I got on really well with the team. Like I liked the team, Stuart Troman's Astro. So a bit of back, or fast forward. I used to say fast forward and back. Geez, rewind back. I rewind back. So when we talked about the 2020 stock 6 year, it was actually Stuart Troman's Astro that he had given my brother a 636 Kawasaki to ride. Keelan was riding the Kawasaki that obviously Stuart Astro owned, and I was riding obviously our old R6, and obviously Dad was running it and doing everything. But Stu was good. He was very good, and he helped Keelan at that time. And that year, because I was going well through the year, he actually started buying me brake pads and stuff like that there, to sort of help keep me going because I was going well. And so I always liked Stu. I always had a good relationship with him. And when I went to do the Appy Art thing, he was only delighted, to help encourage me go and do it in 2021. But then when the opportunity for him to sign me again in 22 came up, he obviously went back and signed me again. And at the end of the year, I was like, look, I like the team. I like everyone. It's good. I feel like I'm riding the best I ever have, and but I just can't do this again with this bike. Like I don't want to be. Unless they're going to allow us to do the stuff we wanted to do, I don't want to ride a Triumph. So I was very fortunate that the Astro Boy goes, you know what? Well, let's just can that then, and we'll get something else. So he went on to buy Suzuki 750s. So that was the start of the Suzuki. Rhys Irwin and Suzuki's.
Can't be the fucking Suzuki.
Yeah, you can't.
And wait till he gives you the big boozer.
You can't beat the Suzuki. So yeah, and it's funny enough, actually, in the winter then, they came back to Astro and they said, well, actually, we're going to allow you to change the linkage and change all the stuff that you want to change. But at this point, they had already sold Triumphs and bought Suzuki, so it was too late. And you know what? I wouldn't have cared. I'm delighted that everything went how it did.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So it was good. 2023 was good. I'm very conscious that I feel like I've been talking for 4 hours, boys, but I feel like I'm only getting into the good stuff.
Get it in with, man. Not at all. We've got all evening that.
Yeah,
no running this evening.
So the 2023, it was. So Stu goes, right, we'll get rid of the Triumph. What do you want to do? Whatever. And I was like, I just don't want to ride that bike again. And he said, well, what about the Suzuki's? And actually, at the time, Shane Richardson, God bless him, who lost his, he was one of the guys that lost his life at Oulton Park at the start of this year. He was in the Astro team. He was in the Astro team with me. He was my teammate the year with the Triumph. And he obviously got hurt at pre-season. Well, he did not. I don't know. No one else will know that. He actually got hurt pre-season testing in Guadix on the Triumph. And that year, the Triumph, because the chassis wasn't that good, I had 4 teammates that year. I had Shane Richardson, he got on it, crashed, got hurt. Josh Day, another great rider, teammate, got on it, crashed, hurt. Mason Law rode it for 2 rounds and said, there's I don't want to ride it anymore. And then I had Tom DeParis come and ride it, and he said after 2 rounds that he basically wasn't interested. So the Triumph thing was hard that way. And then at the end of the year, Shane was like, well, what about, he sort of suggested to Stu about getting Suzuki's. And then Stu says, right, okay, we'll get the Suzuki's. And that was it. And we're going through the off-season Suzuki's. And you know what it's like, boys, trying to organise bikes and parts and all the next generation Suzuki. It's not, as they like to make it sound on the TV, like you buy a Suzuki and you put an ECU in it and that's your way to go. See, to try and make the Suzuki legal for Supersport now under the next generation, it is a massive undertaking. The electronics, you have to get the throttle body, you have to get the ECU, the loom, the dash, the date logging, trying to get parts for Suzuki 750s, trying to get bikes, trying to get everything. Like normally when you get into winter, you pretty much know what you're doing. Bikes are set up, bikes are bought, teams are getting ready. In January they're going, right, okay, we'll go to Spain, we'll test, we'll do whatever this time. But that year with the Suzuki, they didn't know when parts were going to arrive. They didn't know when the bikes were going to be built. They didn't know what was happening. So we ended up in a situation where it looked like we weren't going to get any pre-season testing. So the Stu was buying bikes out of America through a mate of his that had moved over and emigrated to Florida. So he was gathering up bikes, crashed road bikes. And we're obviously gathering up crashed road bikes in the UK as well, but he gathered up some good stuff out of America and the plan was to send it home. And he said to Stu, well, Daytona's race in Florida, the Daytona 200, it's on, if you wanted, like we could try get a bike ready for it. If it's not going to get any testing in the UK because of the parts, you could try come here and do it. So Stu rang me up and he goes, well, would you be interested in doing Daytona? And I go, yeah, of course I would.
You're hardly going to go, Jesus, I don't know.
Yeah, hardly going to say no. So he sent me over a box of parts, and then me and my dad, and it was actually me and Dad went. Keelan actually flew over a couple of days later because he had a bit of work and all that normal real life stuff to worry about. So me and my dad flew to America with 2 suitcases filled with forks, shocks, throttle bodies, dashes, looms, not brake lines, master cylinder, brake pads. Like if you imagine everything you would need to build a road bike, and so we
Ryanair love
you. So you man the X-ray machine was like, what the fuck is this?
You know what? If I told the stuff that we've been taking through the airports for years, I'd say I have enough to build a motorbike of what I've put in my hand luggage in the last couple of years.
Saying that, between that and the COVID payment, you'll be locked up.
Between that and the COVID payment, I am going to hit with a tax bill because of all these podcasts. The only thing is they can't tax the negative.
No, absolutely, man. That's a fella said, if you find that, and I'll split it with you.
So flew to Florida, literally, like, not rode a bike. I'd never rode a Suzuki before. I'd never, no winter testing, nothing, no training, just literally suitcases on the plane to Florida, out over. And then, so it's actually a guy, Malcolm Ashley, who was based in America, who was a mate of Stu's, who had moved over there. He used to be part of the British Superbikes paddock and be involved in teams and riders and stuff. So he had a road bike out there. So we got to his shed and he pretty much had the road bike stripped when we got there. And we had, I think it was 4 or 5 days to build this Suzuki into a race bike between sort of my dad, Mal was there helping. We kind of used his shed, used his tools, used all his, tortured him for the week. So got the bike built, drove, I'll never forget, I think it's the I-95 is the motorway of Florida. I don't know if any of you boys have ever been to Florida. I'd never been to Florida before any of that, before we were up for Daytona. And I-95 is the motorway that goes pretty much from the top of Florida to the bottom of Florida. So if you want to go anywhere, you just drive out and it's in the middle and you just go straight up or straight down. And I'm not joking, on this road with 5 lanes that just go straight as far as you can see it. Onto the I-95 when we went north, 8.5 hours, I think it was 8 hours, 8.5 hours to this little track to test the bike, to run the bike in, to make sure everything was working. Literally, a couple of days before going to Daytona, I'd never rode a Suzuki before, never rode the bike, hadn't rode anything all winter, haven't done anything, and got up on the bike, and like any new bike you build, and because obviously like Dad had never built a Suzuki before, and Mal had never built a Suzuki before, there was a wee teething problems and stuff with the electronics because like you have to bolt with the Suzuki. Like I said, it's you have to put throttle bodies and ECUs and looms and everything. So you're trying to get all this stuff set up to work with the bike, and had a bit of a stressful sort of day that day. And I'll never forget it, Jennings in Florida, this wee track in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And rode the bike, tested the bike. By the end of the day, the bike's going well, everything's sorted. Ended up going pretty quick. I can't remember the lap time I did, but I remember everyone on the track day said, like, well, they were testing for Daytona here last week, and they pretty much, you've matched the lap time they did. So I was like, you know what? Suzuki's not bad. You know, Suzuki's gonna do the job.
Oh, you can't.
And I liked it. As soon as I rode it, I loved it. I'm not the biggest person in the world. I you know, like, after talking about the British Talent Cup being too big and the biggest scheme of things, I'm not the biggest person in the world. So Suzuki's small, it suits me. I think anyone that's small kind of suits the Suzuki and likes it.
Here's your twin brother here.
Yeah.
Has a shed with about 16 in a minute,
yeah, no, Suzuki, it's built for speed. It's not big.
Yeah, for sure, man.
So yeah, got through the test, everything. Back down the 8 hours into Melbourne, Florida, which is the wee town just below Daytona, and then got everything loaded up to Daytona then on the Thursday for the TV, the media, the TV cameras, the everything you could name, the TV, the ads, the build up, all the stuff, and went and done the Daytona 200. But again, I like anything, nothing could go smoothly or go to plan the first time you do it. We had a couple mechanical and stuff through the practices, and it's Daytona. The track's not that hard, but it does take a little bit of figuring out, because you have this banking that you're going and qualifying 180 odd mile an hour on the bank, and you kind of have to learn to time the bank. It's not, you can go flat out around it, but you kind of have to time where you come up and down, to make sure that you don't have to roll for the wall or anything. And you also have, if you imagine along the top of the wall, they have like a white line, like the middle of a motorway, that white like dotted line. And every time you hit that, the bike spins and slides. So if you think you're into this NASCAR oval that's almost 90 degrees up into the sky on a bike going 180 mile an hour with a wall beside you, and every time you hit one of these lines, the bike wants to spin and slide and put you straight into the wall. So it does take a small bit of getting used to, but to be honest, I will say it was probably
your attention, all right, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I will say it was one of the best experiences ever. Boy, see, if you're ever looking for a lad's holiday, I'm telling you now, go over to Daytona for Daytona Bike Week. It is unbelievable. It is, honestly. It is. I said to the boys, it's like Donegal Rally Weekend, only on steroids.
Oh man, now you're talking class.
I'm telling you, if you have any plans of doing anything, all you get to Daytona for the bike week. It'll the best thing ever.
Yeah, man. That sounds like
So got the bike built up, and through the Friday had a few niggly problems with the bike. And like I said, I had not rode a Suzuki before, so I was all sussing stuff out. I hadn't done much miles on the bikes at all. Like, obviously the American guys would know Daytona inside out, back to front. Had a few problems on the Friday, had to figure some stuff out. Got through Friday and then into qualifying. I was like, right, okay, that's the job now. All the problems we fixed, have a good push on now in qualifying. And on the first lap of qualifying, come up onto the wall, just up at the top of the wall, had the two factory Suzukis in front of me. I was like, right, these boys, now they're going to get it. And bike just cut out, and I'm not joking. See, at the top of the wall, bike cuts out. It's like falling out of a building. She just dropped straight down to the floor. Had to push the bike back to the paddock. Couldn't get out. Didn't get a lap time. Didn't get much of a lap time. Ended up 19th, I think, or 20th on the grid for the 200. But again, not the end of the world, because it was a 200-mile race. I thought, look, if I can chip away at it and I can get something from this.
Yeah.
And got into warm-up. Had a good warm-up. I think finished 7th or 8th in warm-up because we had a few problems finished. So I was like, right, that's kind of where I'm at. If we can improve the bike a bit more now, I would say realistically I probably deserved, that maybe 5th, 6th, 7th, depending, because Daytona is always a race of attrition, and there's pit stops and stuff in it as well. So if maybe some guys that were a bit unlucky or pit stops didn't go to plan, and I had smooth pit stops, I had planned to run the harder front tire, so they wouldn't have to change the front tire. At all these wee things, and I was like, right, if I can have a clean race and not get into bother, I could line myself up here for maybe a 6th or a 7th or an 8th, which would have been some result considering the week we'd had and the build up and the way the whole thing came about. And I got 2 laps into the race and had no brakes and had to jump off.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. In 2 laps, I'd went from 19th on the grid to 8th, and I was just behind Xavi Flores, and I just said, right, I'll get on him now. onto the bank and I'll slipstream him. He was on a Ducati, so he's biking a bit more legs than mine. So I said, I'll slipstream him and then I'll get into the next group of boys. And I'll be in the leading group because the group for the lead is always like 8 or 9 people. So I was like, right, get into the lead of the group or into the lead group and sit in there then and just take the laps away. And before I knew it, I had no brakes and I was jumping off and I was tumbling towards the wall at God knows how fast.
Jesus, man, this has the kind of a bit of ring at Talladega Nights to it, man.
Do you know what? I'm not joking. It was literally like Talladega Nights.
Yeah, what was the famous line? I'm flying through the air. This is not good.
This is not good. You're not first, you're last.
Classic. And how did you come out with that one?
So it was into the last. I don't know if any of you know the track in Daytona, but you have the last. So you go into the infield and you have the tight left, the right hairpin, then a fast left, and another tight right. Then you have your last left before you go out onto the banking. And that's where I had the no brakes. So I'm not joking. I always at this point wondered if I ever had like the no brakes or something happen, like would I think fast enough to jump off? I can tell you one thing, boys. See, when you have no brakes, it doesn't take as long to figure out. I always thought, no, maybe I would.
The 2 cheeks in my arse should be tight.
The old thing, they gave the underpants the old Daz doorstep challenge. It failed at Rhys Irwin,
yeah. So I had no brakes, tried to pump it, nothing. And I jumped left and I put the bike right. So we're coming into a left-hander. So I'm tumbling down the inside. There's a pure Mexican boy. What's he called now? I think he's called Max something else. Sorry. I'm not sure if he listened anyway from Mexico. If it is him, I'm sorry. And I ruined his race because I hit his front wheel with my head and took him out as well.
Oh,
and tumbled under him, but to be fair, he probably slowed me down a bit. So I got to the Armco and I got the air fence a bit slower. And but yeah, it was all right. Was a bit winded, was a bit banged up, but sure, that was it. That was the Daytona 200 over. I had to watch the next 200 miles, sitting on the grass in 36 degrees Florida heat, which was I've had worse places to be sitting.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. All you needed was a cold beer.
Yeah, at that point I'd have taken anything.
yeah, honest to God, yeah. So that was it for Daytona.
That was it for Daytona, but then it was good because it's hard. You can do all the testing in the world, but nothing beats racing. So even though we didn't really get much testing on the Suzuki or anything at the start of the year, I kind of got to go and do a race and have a race start, and you're kind of forced to figure out a lot of stuff really quick because you're going racing, in 12 hours time. So
yeah.
It was good that way. Got back to BSB. Done the Silverstone test. We missed the other BSB tests because we normally do a couple at the start of the year. So we just did the last one, which was Silverstone. At that point, bikes are still getting built. I think I missed the first session and everything because they were still getting stuff prepped for the bikes to get it in, and got the bike together, got it up, Silverstone test, chipped away. I think I ended up maybe 3rd or 4th. And feeling good all weekend, pretty strong. First round of BSB, I was like, you know what, this is all just chipping away earlier in the year. We've not any testing, we'll just keep chipping. And Saturday race, first lap, got taken out at the end of the back straight. No, at the end of the back straight, Silverstone, the long left before the right hairpin.
Yep.
Got taken out there, so I was like, Jesus, what the hell can I do to catch a break? And then Sunday race, back on the grid, I think 9th or 10th, because I got taken out, didn't get a lap time. And on the last lap, I was leading the race and Lee Johnson passed me in the last corner. So I ended up 2nd. But again, at that point, that felt like a win. Couldn't believe it after having the maybe not amazing or consistent year on the Yamaha in 2021, after having the year that I felt like I deserved to be at the front winning on the Triumph, but get nothing. To my first race that I finished on the Suzuki, finished in 2nd, I was like, this is unbelievable.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Unbelievable, yeah.
Savage.
Yeah. Oh, it was brilliant. So it was. So that year was good. Tipped away. Again, had a few wee problems. Had the odd wee mistake, the wee crash here and there. But I managed to win 2 races. A lot of podiums, and was a bit unlucky towards the last half of the year. I was leading the race at Oldham Park by 2 seconds, and my exhaust fell off. Well, my exhaust bracket broke, so my exhaust fell off, but it was more just an exhaust that we'd used before that had been in a crash. I was taken out on the Saturday race, and then the Sunday race I was leading, and my exhaust came off. So the end of the year kind of finished a little bit down, but a really good year. I was happy, winning races, finally, Super Sport, I had it cracked. I was like, that's a good job now.
Mhm.
So, into the winter, sort of wasn't sure what to do, what opportunities were coming up. And I was very fortunate at that time. Shaky Byrne had sort of taken an interest in me. So at this point, he came on to kind of start managing me and sort of helping me and look after me. So during the winter, we were kind of trying to make a plan, and we made the plan to go back with Astro on the Suzuki again, and we done first. I think it was 2 races with Astro on the Suzuki, but look, that year the Astro Suzuki thing, it just it wasn't working. There was a lot of problems and a lot of maybe stuff that I felt like was maybe stopping us from being competitive, and I tried to fix some stuff, but look, again, it was just a hard first couple of rounds. So I ended up switching teams half through the year to join the Gearling Kawasaki team.
Yeah.
So I went to Gearling Kawasaki, and straight away in the team, Gearling, loved them. Got on so well with Ben Wilson, my mechanic Brad Woodage. The electronics guy at the time was Ben Baxter. Like, so many great people in the team, so much good experiences. But at that time, the Kawasaki ZX6 was just not at the races. It had been past its best. And I will say one thing: I could never fault Gearling, especially that season, because they give me the best ZX6 that could possibly have been given, but it just wasn't enough. And
are they still the 636? Like, yeah, is it still the?
So no, at that point we were running the ZX6 600, not even the 636.
Okay.
So we were on the 600 because it was the official Kawasaki team, and we were on the 600, and it was hard because you're probably, again, another year I feel like I'm doing a good job, but I'm not actually getting anything out of it. It's motorbike racing, unfortunately, is so fickle, where if you're not on the TV and you're not doing good, it's so easy for people to forget about you, or what I mean, think you're not doing a good job. And I was very fortunate that year that Michael was obviously Gearlink, and Ben Wilson was sort of the guy that at the time was kind of managing, running the Gearlink team. They knew, so we went to Oldham Park, for example, and I'd done the fastest ever Kawasaki ZX6 lap in qualifying, but I'd qualified fifth. And they were like,
"Holy shit, man!"
That
was the fastest ever Kawasaki ZX6, and it was still only good enough for
fifth place at the time. Yeah.
Shit.
And the boys were like, "Well, you know what? Look, you can't do any more than that." So we got to I think it was the second last round, and the boys were like, "Well, obviously this time they announced that Gearlink was retiring and Gearlink Kawasaki was stopping, and they were finishing up, and that was going to be the end of it." And they called me into the truck, and they were like, "Well, look, we've always, been the team. We always like to take, sort of the underdog, or take someone and give them an opportunity, and that's always kind of what we've had to do. And we've done 20 years in the championship. We've not managed to win it, and we basically think this year we haven't maybe give you best opportunity with the Kawasaki. So what about coming back next year, run one bike with just you on it? We'll build you a new bike and go back and challenge the championship one more time, and we'll give it one last crack, and we'll downscale everything. It'll just be Ben Wilson's going to run the team and do everything, and then Michael Gearling was just maybe going to be a sponsor and just sort of help, but Ben was going to take on all the workload of own the team, run the team, everything." And I said, "You know what, boys, one bike team, just me in it, good bike, like that's what I'll do, 100%. And I said, "Well, what bikes will we be getting?" And the boys showed me the Suzuki's. Already had the plan designed. They were going to build Suzuki's.
Always comes back to
it.
Always comes back to this.
All you hear is Suzuki.
Can't beat them. Yeah.
You know what? The worst thing was, I was sitting at the time and I was saying to myself, Jesus, if they're going to build another bike, we'll get them to build a Ducati. She will be unbelievable. If I can get a Ducati, because obviously if you could pick any bike in the grid, you'd pick a Ducati. So I was like, if we get a Ducati, this would be a good job. And it said Suzuki, even though I had good memories in the Suzuki in 2023, but with maybe not a great start to 2024, with a few things, I was like, Suzuki, it might be hard, to maybe get the best out of it, because, she's a bit old, she's a bit heavy, maybe it's just the Ducatis and stuff have the legs for her. And all that there ended up aging pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So then that brings us into this year with the Gearlink Performance 15. Suzuki, obviously, Performance 15 being Ben's company where he preps, and looks after and builds race bikes. So yeah, to be honest, I don't think it could be more fairy tale. We skipped the BSB tests again because the tests were quite expensive, and with Gearling trying to scale back, and they maybe didn't have the budget or the sponsors and the support and stuff they had before, and they were kind of trying to do this just to try and give me a good opportunity and a good bike. So we kind of missed the first BSB test. We just did the last one at Oldham Park. So we rocked up to we done a Cadwell Park club race, which is like just a normal club race. The week before maybe 2 weeks before the Oldham Park BSB test, and my lap time from the club race would have been good enough to put me on the front row of British Supersport, the year before.
Yeah.
And I was like, geez, boys, Suzuki, she's not too bad. We could be on something good here. And then same again, you know what it's like when you've had, maybe a year of, not just like, things not stuff not coming to you really that easy.
Yeah.
To get to the first test, Oldham Park, I was in the top 3 the whole time. And, and to be fair, that wouldn't be the norm for, people to maybe not do BSB tests and then show up and be one of the strongest people. So got to the Oldham Park test in the top 3 all weekend. And then the last day I ended up topping, 36.9, the only person in 36s, and topped the test. But then again, you spend the weekend between Oldham test and Oldham round 1 going, I hope I can do this when we get racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. Look, then the season kind of took off from there with Oldham Park, bit of a problem in qualifying, so had to start from 23rd in the grid, came back to 5th, went to Donington at a 2nd and a 3rd, went to Snetterton 2nd and a 3rd, went to Knockhill 1st, and then at a 4th place. And then the season just kind of kept going there, chipping away.
Yeah,
first third of the year, and then really in sort of the midpoint to the last, the end of the year is when I really sort of found my feet. We kicked on a bit. We managed to keep improving the bike all year. We kind of got in a window where we knew I liked it. We kind of knew how to get the best out of it. And that year, like I said, with Gearling sort of scaling down, I was lucky. So that year in the team, we had Ben Wilson sort of looking after and prepping everything. My dad was mechanicking for the bike. So I had my dad as my mechanic. Ben would obviously take the bike home in between the races and stuff, but Dad would be mechanicking there in the races.
Some pressure.
My brother was doing all the electronics. So it literally was, and we had another guy, Barry, that was coming and helping doing tires and stuff. So literally between my dad, my brother, and Ben Olsen and me, we were, racing with a Suzuki against Motor Rapido, against Factory Honda, against Factory Triumph, against all these big teams.
Yeah, you were kind of going back to your super stock days, kind of with the small team, like.
Oh, like and it's mad, honestly. If you could see sometimes up and down the garages, like maybe the Hondas and the Motor Rapidos, the amount of people and the amount of support and the amount of staff and how big the crews are and the resources they have, and then we were there with, pretty much, like I said, my dad and brother, Ben Wilson, on a 2000 and whatever Suzuki 750.
Yeah.
And but look, as you always say, it took it back to maybe what it was like at the start, and to be honest, it just suited me. Everything couldn't have been any better. So, like I said, we kind of worked through the year. The last sort of third of the year, last half of the year, we kicked on. Won more races than anyone on the podium. We got to 9 different tracks in the BSB season, and I broke the lap record and qualified on pole at 6 of them. And just to be honest, everything just clicked. It was going well. The bike was good.
Yeah, I remember looking at it kind of earlier on to start the year. Do you know what I mean? And I had seen, a bit of the backstories and what Gearlink was doing and stuff, and kind of had this thing in the back of your head. You're like, just could Rhys do it this year? You're kind of going, Jesus, yeah, it could happen. Do you know what I mean? You were kind of seeing the momentum building. You're like, Jesus Christ, because exactly as you say, it was like the scaled back team. You know what I mean? And in everybody's head, there's kind of going to be a point going. Is this just kind of a, how would you say this without, is it their way of just kind of keeping a team going, or what's their aspirations for it? I do remember looking at it and going, Jesus Christ, maybe he has a shot at this, and just build.
I will say it, one thing I'll have to be forever grateful. Look, again, like with my dad, my brother, my family, they're stuck with me, so they're always supporting me. I'm lucky, but this year especially, with Ben Wilson and Michael Dividoff, Gearlink, like the only motivation for them was just to give me an opportunity. So the fact that I was able to go and win them the championship after, 20 odd years of trying to be the person to get it done for them in their last year, in their last hurrah, to be the person to get it done, to be honest, was unbelievable. And I think, you couldn't, I don't think there is more fairy tale.
You couldn't write,
Yeah.
You couldn't
think it's a better fairy tale than Seabiscuit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that is for sure, man. So come here, bring us to the championship winning weekend, man. Talk us through that weekend. What was going on in the mind? What was, do you know what I mean? You knew it was a real possibility. Talk us through.
Well, going through the year, you kind of keep an eye on the championship, but I don't really, because I'd be like I say, if you just focus on doing good in the races, everything kind of takes care of itself, and the championship take care of itself. And all I was worried about all year was doing good in the races, so I can get a good result, so that I can go on to the next thing and make the step. And that's the whole idea of them giving me the opportunity, will try and help me in my career move to make the next step. And that's really the end goal was. So we never really thought about championship. And like I said, we kind of got to Knockhill, won a race, got to Thruxton, won a race, got to whatever else, went to Cadwell, done the first ever 27 podium, good, just building, really solid every weekend, probably one of, if not the fastest every weekend, and podiums nearly every race. And the championship, I was always kind of leading the championship thereabouts, but I didn't really want to get too focused or think about it too much, because I just kept thinking to myself, just take it a race at a time. And it wasn't really until I got to Donington, which was the third last round. At this point, I'm leading the championship, or I think, Ben Curry might have led into Donington. And got to Donington, and I'd never done a double win before or anything. And at this point, I'd qualified on pole like 7 races in a row. And I qualified on pole on Saturday morning, won the first race on Saturday. And I was thinking, that's a good job now. Just, get ready for Sunday, just like any other weekend. And managed to win the race again on the Sunday from 9th on the grid, because with the way we changed our grid in between the races, I ended up back a bit and won from 9th on the grid. And it wasn't until driving home that Donington where I was like, Jesus, I might actually do this thing, because I managed to get a bit of a points gap from that Donington weekend, and I was all of a sudden, there's only 2 rounds to go of maybe 20 odd points, and like this is on, like we're at the races here. It's not this thing that's really far away anymore. All of a sudden it's September. There only is 2 races to go, and I'm still leading it. And get to Olsen Park then again, and same again. We didn't actually have qualifying at Olsen because it rained off. They went off the free practice times, so I ended up
a horrendous weekend.
Yeah, terrible weekend for weather. So I ended up second on the grid because of my practice time, which again wasn't really too fussed about, didn't panic about, but managed to win the race on Saturday, which was brilliant, delighted. And again, win the race on Saturday, bit of a points buffer, got my lead up a bit more, and I was like, right, this is I'm in a good place now. Sunday race, had a wee bit of a hiccup, just two converging lines, we'll say, and I unfortunately went down, and Ben Curry didn't go down, and he ended up finishing 5th, I think, in the race, and so it brought the points lead back to, was it 3 or 4 points going into the last round? So going into the last round, like you say, all the pressure, all this thing. So I've gone all year from not even thinking about it, not worrying about it, not panicking about it, to working hard to build myself up a bit of a gap and a bit of a cushion, to losing the gap, to going into the last round, basically level on points. So get into the weekend. Friday I was strong. I think a top Friday free practice, but again, by nothing. We're all tenths in it. And qualifying then Saturday morning, qualified on pole on the first ever 26 on a super sport bike. I had the lap record. The race lap record before it was a 27.7. Now I had the fastest ever lap, because I had done a 27.2 there in the summer, but I had done a 26.8 in qualifying, which was the fastest lap by a considerable amount, and it was good. I was going into Saturday feeling good, and then that Saturday race, good hard race. We were breaking the lap record every lap. Big group of 4 of us, but thankfully managed to get that one over the line. Got the win there, so it made Sunday a bit easier. And then Sunday morning, I was like, right, I knew the math. I knew I just need to finish 4th if he wins the race, and the heavens opened, and it was just washed out over the rain. And I remember thinking to myself, this is the last bloody thing that I need this morning is rain.
Yeah.
It's hard as well in super sport because you have Ben Curry and Jack Kennedy, who are the two, really, you could say the two benchmarks. They've been in this championship now for a long time. They know super sport bikes inside out. They've raced all the different bikes. They're strong. They're good in every conditions. And with Ben and Jack are two people that are actually, let alone, they're strong in the wet. They're exceptional. Like, they're both really, really strong wet riders.
Yep.
So when you end up trying to race in the wet, like, you always know, like, you're going to have to go hard if you want to win or be on the podium.
Absolutely. Yeah. Added pressure, man.
Yeah. So I knew in the wet, Ben was going to be strong. So he's probably going to win or at least be in the fight for the win. So I was like, right, got to do something. I've got to do a good job. I've got to make it happen and go down on the grid and got through all the grid and the start line, all that kind of stuff. Got it all sorted and got through the race, the longest race in the world. And
you got a good start.
Yeah. Good. That was the hard thing about the safety car. So for anyone that hasn't seen it, so wet race, got away. I was sitting second, kind of done. You kind of do the hard work. See, in the wet races, getting up to speed and like taking a bit of risk is the wrong word, but it's not really. You take a bit of risk or you push the boat out, and so in the wet you always build up, heat into the tires. You find wee place where you can find grip and maybe find a bit of time, or you can roll just a couple mile an hour and quicker. So then you don't have to accelerate as hard, but you're not asking as much of the tire, and you're like nibbling at all these wee things to find time, and that's why in wet races the pace gets faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. So to sort of put yourself in a position, you kind of have to try and figure all that stuff out really quick the first lap or two to like get yourself to a certain sort of spot in the race before then you can start chipping at it. So I kind of done a wee bit of risk, say the first lap or two to get myself into second. Ben Curry's right in front of me. We start to kind of break away from everyone else, and I was thinking that's perfect if I can just get away with him second and then a couple laps to go, roll off and just let him away and come home in second or third. That's good enough for me. And then someone crashed, the safety car come out. So all your hard work that you've just done gets undone because we're all bunched up again.
And then your tires are going to start losing their temperature.
Tires lose down, can't temperature, everything. Yeah. And it's so easy then to make a mistake because you try and go back to the pace that you've built up and like sort of chipped away to get at. You try and go straight back to that, but you can't because you need to give yourself a lap or two to build back in, get the tires, get the momentum, get all the stuff to start feeling good again. And then because obviously the race that was in it and the championship points and everything, I was maybe I was very cautious of a safety car because I was like, I can't afford to go upside down. If I crash, like he only has to finish forever. He only had to finish in the top 10. And if he crashed, I had to finish, I think, 16th or somewhere, or maybe not even be 14th. And so chipped away again, risked a wee bit, put myself in position again, another safety car, and I was like, Jesus, another one. So, but eventually got through it, got across the line, P3. First Susie got a good rev and burnout and then limiting on the slow down lap, and that was it done then.
Yeah, honestly, I remember looking at that, and you could actually almost sense the frustration in not just yourself, but a couple of riders with the safety car. It was almost, you were kind of got the feeling you were kind of, some of them were nearly going to the safety car. Will you go on to fuck? Because you'd see some lads that try and get a bit of a run up behind it, you know what I mean? And then, then to be bunched up together. But it was unreal.
The mad thing about the safety car was like we're on motorbikes, and obviously you'd imagine in the wet a car would have more grip, but we were behind the safety car running at the back of it, and the safety car is drifting and sliding, and I can tell the boy driving the car is trying his hardest to go fast, but he's coming out of every corner and the car's spinning and moving, and it's just mad the difference that you kind of see between bikes and cars, really.
Absolutely.
How much faster you would think in the wet, with two wheels would be at a big disadvantage, but
no,
not a hope.
I know what you're saying.
Not a hope.
Yeah. So then, like, what must it have been like, lifting the trophy at the end of it, as you said, if you go back to your early days, like, even from the British, the Cup, and all the hard roads, like, trying to beat out fucking wheel studs on the side of a road to, going with teams and maybe bikes that just weren't fit for the purpose, all that to end of the season, winning the championship, getting a P3 to lift to be crowned the 2025 champ. It just must have been absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, you know what? It's weird. When you're in the race, you're so focused on everything that you don't actually you don't take it all, or no, you don't take it all in, but you come across the line and you're focused on the race. And then even I came around the first corner after I got the flag, and I was like, oh, that's the race over now. That's me third. That means, I'll be champion or whatever. And come up around turn 2 and I stop and I do my burnout and I go, oh, it's a good job. But still, your head is sort of catching up on everything as it's happening. And it wasn't until you come down past turn 3 and my brother is there with the championship t-shirt, Ben Wilson there with the championship t-shirt, the LS2 guy is there with the championship one and helmet, the TV cameras are all there waiting on me, and it's not until I seen that I was like, well, all this stuff's for me. Because for years I drove past whoever won the championship and I was going, that there bastard there. and he can I don't know if I can swear on this thing, boys.
Oh, you can swear. Absolutely, you can swear. Yeah, we actually ignored it.
We don't let that old overs ourselves.
Yeah.
I go, that bastard there can go and fuck with his helmets and his t-shirts and everything. But then I was like, all this stuff's for me now. And it wasn't then until you get stopped and your head comes back to normal speed and you see how much it means to, my family and Ben and Michael and, and Kierlink and all the guys and how much it means to everyone. And like I say, my dad and brother, like we've done that journey over and back, that Holyhead boat.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how many times. And
I specifically remember watching your dad on the camera and I just said, my God, man, you could just, pride was beaming over him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's just years. Years of it. Oh, everyone has. So yeah, it was just get the trophy, get the t-shirts and all the stuff on and back down into Park Ferme. And again, you had Michael there with Gearlink, and to be the person to do it then for me was big. And to be honest, I'm so happy that I was able to do that. And then that's the whole thing. Then it just happens. Then you go up and you get your trophy and you spray the champagne and you do the interviews and you come back down and you do all the photos, and then you're down and the Superbike race is over and Kyle Ryde celebrating his championship, and then they put all the championships down on the road, and all of a sudden the stuff that like I'd be driving out the gate watching them all celebrating, doing the victory road with all the champions going, them bastards down there. And then it's all of a sudden you're sitting down there and you're looking up at all the people driving out the road, probably call me a bastard.
Yeah, so guaranteed.
probably call me a lot worse.
Yeah, guaranteed.
But yeah, look, it's just nice. Look, I think a lot of great riders can go through their career without actually winning the championship. There's a lot of great riders on Superbikes now, even like Glenn Irwin, Andrew Irwin, so many riders, and that maybe have gone their career and they just haven't managed to win a British title yet, for one reason or the other. Yeah, and that like have that ticked off my CV as something that like going forward I don't have to, you don't like I have it done. Yeah.
It's a box
because like I said, not just single, the boys out, but they're two fantastic motorbike riders.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
They just, for one reason or other, or through the years, it just hasn't got it across the line. But I always think like no one will ever take it away from me, British champion, and no matter what happens in my career, I've got that one. So if ever I'm in the situation where I'm battling for a championship again, it's not like it's going to be my first time.
No, for sure, man. Exactly. You can always think back and you were able to do it, like, through effort. So I suppose speaking of that and maybe looking back on career, what's next in store for Rhys Irwin? What's 2026 going to bring?
Well, like I kind of mentioned before, I'm very fortunate that I have Shane Byrne. He kind of looks after me and helps me and looks after that stuff. And you know what? Like Keaton does the admin, I do the mechanicking and the riding the bike. So see all that kind of off the bike stuff, I don't get too fussed or worried about it. I'm a firm believer what's for you is for you. So I let Shaky kind of deal with it and look after it. And he comes to me with with the whatever's possible to happen and do, and then we go, right, okay, we'll do that. And that's where we're at. So yeah, and at the minute all that stuff is going on behind the background. So whenever it all gets sorted,
not giving that away, boys.
whenever all that gets sorted, I can't wait to tell you.
Yeah, no, well, look, we're all, we're all rooting for you, man, and we can't wait to hear what's been going to be going on. Actually, Shaky, I only finished reading his book there. Interesting career that guy has. I'd love to have a conversation.
Any Irish in him?
Is there any Irish in him? I think there is, actually.
Is it parents?
Yeah. He's he's adopted, but I think his biological parents are Irish or his father's Irish.
That's exactly correct. Yeah, exactly. He has had an interesting life, man. Yeah.
Look, there's a bit of Irish in everyone in this planet.
Absolutely. Without a doubt. Usually the bad bit, the septic bit. But anyway, that's a whole other story. You know what I mean? No, we're looking forward to it. Just a question for you. Has the roads ever, I know you said your dad, has the roads ever been something that you'd have ever thought of? Or has it been a niche you wanted to scratch at any stage, or is it anything you've given thought to?
Look, I've grown up in Donegal, which means I'm an hour and a bit from the northwest, and every single national road race in the country, I'm there normally. Cookstown, Armagh, any of them, I always go as many as I can because above all else, I love motorbike racing, and whether there's boys racing, over laggy jump at the Armagh, or whether it's the TT or MotoGP or whatever, I love it all. But I always think I'm very lucky. Like I said, mum and dad have put so much into me to sort of get me to this stage, and they would hate it if I went to do it. So it wouldn't be fair, and probably wouldn't be the right thing to do to sort of go against them after everything they've done to get me to here. And that's kind of the way I look at it. Yeah. And as well, because my brother's still racing. If he was to ever consider it, I wouldn't like him to do it. So then, for me to consider doing the same thing, do you know what I mean? The same way. But look, again, I love it. Like don't miss a lap of the TT. As soon as you get the TT practice week, all you can hear around the house is the Manx radio. I'd say mum hates it when it comes around.
Yeah, I know. We'd be the same, man. Myself and Tony to be like kids. Do you know what I mean? We subscribe to and all it is absolutely brilliant. And what's you don't exactly know what's going on, but obviously there's going to be big things coming for next year. But do you actually, I ask everyone that we've had on this, I had asked Jack Kennedy this when he was on here a couple of weeks ago, do you have a motorbike license?
I do not have a motorbike license. I did think about it. So in the lockdown, like I said, with the alleged COVID payments, I had actually started when I was in school at the time. So when school started, when school had shut, I was working in the local motorbike shop. I was assembling, so they did like, kids' buggies, kids' quads, all that kind of stuff. So I would be assembling them, getting them ready to go. They'd be getting sold while people were at home during the summer with the nice weather and all. So I was working in Letterkenny during all that their time, I was doing them a favour for a bit of cash. And I was young at the time, so I was just,
fucking cash. This lad is getting locked up by sweet cash.
Jeez, I'm actually, I was going to have to go back and blur all this stuff out.
We don't know how to.
I remember having a Peugeot Speed Flight at the time. Was in the shed, an old Peugeot scooter. I was riding it out on the road, and I was kind of thinking, I get the road bike license. Be way handy for getting in and out of work and doing whatever I needed to get done. But I would say, see a week or two of riding it around the roads. I would say if I had a road bike license, it would be not hope in hell would I survive it. Yeah, I know. No, it is interesting. I ask everyone, and you all have one thing in common: you don't have a road bike license. But look, you never know. Maybe when you're in your 40s or 50s, you might decide maybe you're getting out BMW 1300 and. Yeah, again, it's the price of the insurance. The one is the killer. Whenever I'm at the age where they get to insure me for real cheap, I might do it then.
Yeah. So 65.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The retirement age.
Yeah, absolutely. Rhys, I'm after holding you up all evening, man. I'm probably after fucking up your whole running plans and that.
No, it's all right. You know what? I'm actually the worst in the world because I end up I just can't shut me up half the time.
No, man, it's been brilliant. You know what I mean? It's part of the story that we were all dying to listen to. I know the listeners will be be enjoying every bit of it because you see the glamour, you see the lads and the bikes and the gear and the cup, and you don't realize what's been going on in the years previous and stuff like that. So
yeah, do you know what? Like I said, sort of going through the Talent Cup thing. Like honestly, I could probably do a podcast on every season. Never mind a career. And you know what? I'm sure everyone's in the same boat.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, well, look at
as you say, there's a lot of stuff that goes on that people never see, and I'm sure everyone has their own, their own line under the truck in the service station, and then racing the next day.
Yeah. There's a book in this, man. There's a book in it, yeah. When you get a bit of time.
Man.
That's the reason we like people like you who's able to come on to the podcast, fill it in. Everybody that listens to us hears what actually does go on and happen. And that's what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, yeah.
But don't forget his now when you do write
when you're on the MotoGP, man, paddock, you know what I mean? Don't forget your old buddies here in Clonagate.
No, you know what, boys? I'll sort out the hospitality for you. It's free bar for the boys.
Oh, man, fair fucking play to you. Fair play to you. Well, come here. We're going to wrap it up.
True Irish fan, huh?
Yeah, like a true Irish fan. That's right. Yeah. Before we wrap it up, Rhys, do you want to give a shout out to some of your sponsors there? Before we wrap it up.
Yeah, look, as I said, going through, look, I'm so grateful. Look, I have a lot of good people to help me and people to look after me, and I'm so grateful that, through the years, people have helped me, people have stood by me. So yeah, just as usual, look, a big thanks to everyone that helps me and that stays on board and keeps it going. Because look, as much as it looks, glamorous on the TV, without every logo on my helmet, be it big or small, and everyone that helps me, in any kind of capacity at all, if it wasn't for those people, it wouldn't happen. So just a big thanks to all them. And look, that's the nature of the sport. Look, without those people, it wouldn't happen.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well said. Yeah. Well, look, the only advice I can give you is stay with Suzuki, man. Do you know what I mean?
Stay
with the Suzuki. I mean, they're bringing out a new Gixxer 1000, man. So hold on.
I was just about to say that. If you get speaking to the boys in Japan and get them to build a Surbike.
I'll tell you, Charlie's here. Charlie has an old K3 Gixxer out there 1000 that he doesn't use. Is that any good to you?
Yeah, do you know what? Charlie's not careful, he lose that jog.
K8 there as well if you want to. She Gary from Motor Tuning, she's fully decked.
She's fully decked out, man, yeah.
But not like you. Nice. I've the license for the road, but and allegedly I only do 60 miles an hour.
Yeah. I will say I have a GSX-R 750, a road bike one myself. Not a road bike, like a road bike with the lights and everything taken off that I use for training on. So likes of the Kirkstown track days and stuff I do on it. And when I go to Spain during the winter, I'll try and bring it with me and ride it a bit just as training and keeping sharp. Like it's literally road bike, with clip-ons and fairings on it. I will say that is the best thing that ever came about the house. I've never seen a yoke take abuse like it. I must have done every track day in Kirkstown this year, and not enough to beat. Anyone ever looking at a track day bike, I could not recommend the GSX-R 750 enough.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, you just can't beat them. You know what I mean? They're just go forever, and they will take dogs abuse. And they're a winning combination. Yeah. But look, I've no doubt, to be fair, no matter what bike you throw your leg over, it's going to be a success story. Keep up the great work. We're all rooting for you. Like, there's a massive population of motorcyclists in Ireland that, they're all rooting for you, man. As we said before, we're not the GAA or the soccer where you're going to have people throwing money at you left, right and centre. And but we are all rooting for you, and we're incredibly proud of you and incredibly proud to call you one of our own. So
thank you guys.
You keep up the good work, and as soon as you can, let us know what the plan is for 2026, won't you?
Yeah, no, I will do, definitely, boys. No, I can't wait. Look, we'll get the next few weeks out of the way, and then start making a plan for next year. This time of year, I always try and do like a little motorbike stuff as I can. And Mum was always glad. Mum's always glad to see November come. We get a few less motorbikes, but sure. Every year, just gets railroaded in there.
What's going to happen? Maybe you might come back on and
we'd love to have you back on. We'll have you on.
100%. Because know what'll happen? I'll be driving to work tomorrow morning, and I'll be thinking about all stuff that I forgot to say.
Look, it's an open
write it down.
It's an open invitation, man. Come on anytime you want. 100%.
The problem is, if I end up getting get locked up now for all my alleged stories, I'll be sitting in the cell thinking about all the stuff I should have said.
Send us the line. We'll go up and visit you.
Yeah, exactly, man. We'll bail you out. Rhys, thanks a million again for coming on, man. Really, really appreciate it. And say this will be up everywhere in the morning, and we look forward to seeing, as I say, what's the plan for Rhys Irwin for 2026.
Lovely. That's brilliant. Thank you very much, boys.
Talk to you soon, Rhys. Mind yourself.
Good man. Thank you.
Cheers, man. Cheers.